let's begin by pouring out, first up, the top 5 questions at 5. And this is all about the budget and the questions on top of your mind right now. So our first big question is what people have been asking. You've seen the first full budget of Narendra Modi 3.0, the 7th consecutive budget that has been presented by the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. But what's in the budget for you? So stay with us and we'll tell you what exactly the budget means for you, the viewer, who's been watching, discussing and wondering what is it that you get out of the budget. The second question, right from the middle class to the farmers, to the poor, to the youth, to women. You've seen a lot of focus and an emphasis area. So we will tell you what really has been the major focus of this big budget. What are the important takeaways? This brings us to our third important question, and we'll get an answer to find out what about jobs? Jobs, raining jobs. You've seen a lot of attack on the government, particularly in the run-up to the big battle of 24 when it comes to job. Now, there is an interesting ELI-linked scheme. There is also a bonus job that has been discussed for first time, youth who's going to be going out for employment. So what really is this scheme about? How does this generate more jobs? We'll get you details here on the show also. This brings us to our next question. Opposition politics, not very far behind. Rahul Gandhi says that this is a quote-unquote kursi bachao budget. Why does he say that? Are these charges fair or are these charges only and only political? And what about the allies, the JDU and the TDP? Remember, both of the states led by the allies has been put in prime focus. The reason why the opposition says that this is a kursi bachao budget. This brings us to our next question, the most important one. People have been asking how many marks will you give to the budget? Some say this is 8 out of 10, some say 9 out of 10, some say 10 out of 10. But then there are also the naysayers, also the opposition that says we'll give you 0 out of 10 because this is a copy-paste job. So we want to know from you, the viewer, where do you stand on the issue? What is it that you believe have been the biggest takeaways? All that and much more is what we'll bring to you on this edition of the news as we quickly begin to decode step by step what the budget holds for everyone.
देश और दुनिया ने पीएलआई स्कीम की सफलता देखी है। अब इस बजट में सरकार ने एम्प्लॉयमेंट लिंक्ड इंसेंटिव स्कीम की घोषणा की है। इससे देश में करोड़ों करोड़ों नए रोजगार बनेंगे। इस योजना के तहत जीवन में पहली नौकरी पाने वाले युवा की पहली तनख्वाह हमारी सरकार देगी।
So what you've just heard is in fact a reaction that, remember, has come in from the Prime Minister. And one must say that what the Prime Minister has said about employment, about the ELI, about creating more jobs, possibly is an attempt to take out a sting from the opposition's attack. The opposition time and again has been saying that this is a government that has not recognized unemployment. It said, where are the jobs? Now, with this kind of a move, with this kind of an announcement by the Finance Minister in the budget, does this really blunt the attack by the opposition is a crucial question. We also have a string of reactions, remember, that have come in from the entire opposition that still continues to say that this is not good enough. But do remember, in the run-up to the 2024 battles, it's important to keep in mind berozgari, mehengai, Yuva, all these were important talking points. And you have big elections also later in Haryana, in Maharashtra, in Jharkhand. But listen in first up to that big announcement, the first biggest takeaway from the budget when it comes to job and employment by the Finance Minister.
Measures for promotion of manufacturing and services, internship in top companies. As the fifth scheme under Prime Minister's package, our government will launch a comprehensive scheme for providing internship opportunities in 500 top companies to 1 crore youth in 5 years. They will gain exposure for 12 months to real-life business environment, varied professions, and employment opportunities. An internship allowance of 5,000 per month, 5,000 rupees per month, along with a one-time assistance of 6,000 rupees will be provided.
So there you heard the finance minister on how this scheme really, remember, will pan out. Clearly, it's a very, very ambitious target. It's a very ambitious scheme that the government is putting forward. And the idea is, again, to not just acknowledge the fact that, yes, there is a crisis, but to say that we are ready with a solution. So this is a government that is working in a solution mode. The opposition says nothing doing. But what about the stakeholders? What about people right now who are in a position to give more jobs? What about the industry voices? And because we are bringing to you this live broadcast from the CII, let's listen in to what Bharti Sunil Mittal really has to say first up about this biggest scheme and how he believes that this can be a game changer.
I think the union budget which has been presented by the Honourable Finance Minister sets the direction right, sets the Viksit Bharat roadmap right. She spoke about job creation, she spoke about women empowerment and MSME and SMEs creation, and also spoke about agriculture. I think India's growth trajectory has to be maintained. Manufacturing and agriculture have to play a key role. Also, she spoke about the ease of doing business, especially litigation with the tax and other authorities like TDS, which have been decriminalized to a point. So I think overall it's a good budget. It's a growth budget. She's also removed the angel tax, which means the startups which have been demanding will benefit from that.
So we'll just make this correction. The reaction that you've just heard, ladies and gentlemen, has come in from Rajan Bharti Mittal, and he does say that this is a scheme that clearly is very visionary. We'll have to see how it is implemented on ground zero. How will this make an impact? So that is what the industry says. But clearly, what about politics here? Because the Congress wasted no time to actually tell all of us through a tweet that they put out on the social media that this is a copy-paste job by the government. They said they've copy-pasted our idea. They've lifted our idea and now they have sold it as their idea. But is that true? Is there merit in that entire argument? And where are the similarities when you talk of the Congress's ELI scheme versus what the government is talking also, because this is also talking of internship, providing new skills, something that will help you in your future and in the way ahead. This is our exclusive conversation with our Group Editor-in-Chief Navika Kumar, with the Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, who's responding to that big charge by the opposition.
How do you react to the budget? And please don't say it only as a minister in the Modi government 3.0 budget. Many people in the Congress party are calling it the cut and paste government and the cut and paste budget, because a lot of ideas have been picked up from the Congress manifesto. How do you respond to that statement coming in from the Congress party?
Madam Navika, I would like at the outset to disassociate myself from those categorizations. First of all, I will speak to you as a citizen of India first and as a cabinet minister later. Equally, if the Congress party or as one of their stalwarts claim that some of the ideas in the budget were also contained in their manifesto, may I just ask through you, with due reverence and respect, where does it say that two people can't get the same idea, and how do you know that this idea originated with them? I mean, these ideas have been around for a long time. So I can give you a host of things. This is a very positively growth, stability and a budget designed to navigate India forward from a $3 trillion to a $5 trillion economy. Insofar as what the opposition is saying, look, I have been around for a long time. I spent about 50 years in public life. I don't know any situation where an opposition, if they show some statesmanship, they should say, I'm glad you embraced some of our ideas also. But to say it's a cut and paste job, I mean, what are they doing? I know we spend according to what we are able to provision. If I go back to some of their own schemes, floating oil bonds, doing irresponsible things and letting future generations pay for it, that's the difference.
All right, so that is a full frontal attack that has been launched by the Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri on the Congress. He says who can claim ownership of an idea, and who knows that whether that idea came to us, as in the government first or the Congress. But what is this, real rush to claim credit, and how do you decode the entire focus when it comes to job, when it comes to employment? And is this more of a pragmatic and still a political budget? Clearly, a lot of these questions that we'll decode. As I say, good evening to our panel of guests joining us. We have R. Jagannathan, who's the editorial director at Swarajya. He continues to stay with us. And remember, he's written extensively on the budget, and he's our best man here to decode what he thinks the budget has delivered for all of us. Also good to have Dr. Rohit Azad, who continues to stay with us on this big day. He's a noted economist and has an opinion of his own. We also have S. Ravi, founder at Ravi Ranjan and Company and a former chairman at the BSc. And also Kapil Madan, political analyst. He does lean towards the Congress. Gentlemen, as I say, good evening to all of you, Kapil. Let's begin by, just taking up what we just heard from the Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri. He says, why are you fighting for credit? Should you not be forthcoming and say that this is a crisis? We are all in the crisis together, and let's fight the crisis. Won't you be happy, Kapil? The government is asking if everyone gets jobs, instead of saying this is a copy-paste idea.
So, Deepti, I would, just say that Mr. Puri's statement and the way he was trying to, dodge this, issue looks evasive, and I won't mince my word, and I would say whatever he was saying sounded very illogical to me. Now, let me give you a few instances, to show how, BJP has been opposing key reforms that was introduced by the Congress when the Congress was in power. Remember the Food Security Act? It was the BJP government that opposed the Food Security Act. And now BJP claims that they are giving free rations to about 80 crores individuals of citizens of our country. And the premise of this is Food Security Act. Now, isn't it, doesn't he, contradict himself when he says that 2% can get the similar ideas? Yes, 2 people can get similar ideas, but the fact remains, you have done nothing insofar as employment is concerned. Your promise has fallen flat on your face when you promise that you will be giving 2 crores employment per year, and you fail to give 2 crore employment per year. The state of the country was our youth was struggling for job, and in this context, when Congress came with this manifesto, they announced a apprenticeship program which was mocked by BJP. You continue
to believe, Kapil, that this is an idea that belonged to the Congress party. Okay. I quickly want to take opening comments with everyone, then we can take a second counter. Now, Jaggi, do you agree with this entire narrative now that the opposition is trying to create, that this is a kursi bachao budget, this is a copy-paste budget, allies ko khush karna hai because you want to be politically sound, you want to save the government also, Jaggi?
See, let me put it this way. Let's call it a kursi bachao. In any coalition government, kursi bachao means taking every ally's opinion, right? Throughout 2004 to 2014, there was a kursi bachao government in place called UPA 1 and 2. Every month they had a crisis. They did 0 reforms, and they were trying to save the kursi all the time. Here at least you are seeing kursi bachao with some amount of reform. Second thing, whether it's a copy-paste from the Congress or not, Congress should be happy. Okay, fine, they claim credit, no problem. Isn't this the sign of a good democracy that a government in power borrows an idea from an opposition party and implements it and does it? Isn't it better than what happened last time when, let's say, there was another copy-paste where they said we'll do agricultural reforms? When they did it, the party that claimed it in the manifesto opposed it. So my point is, it's all right if you borrow ideas from one another.
Yes, you're very right.
As long as it is good for the country, that's all there is to it. If Congress wants to claim credit, by all means do so.
Yes,
I
like
have
the
no
Prime
op- I have
Minister
no
said,
problem
Jaggi,
with that.
I quickly want to get in, Rohit, before we hit our first break. Rohit, the PM also yesterday said कि अब दल की छोड़िए, अपने बारे में मत सोचिए, देश के बारे में सोचिए. So should the opposition also be large-hearted and forget about this? Look at what is, the big picture here when it comes to jobs and employment.
No, I think, the opposition has to be the watchdog in general, and that role they should play. But when you ask the question, one important part of this budget, as you said, is the ELI. But let's break down the numbers a bit to get an idea of why it may not solve the problem, even though it puts the problem at the forefront of jobs. So if we look at the NSS data itself, the non-farm employment has actually gone down. It is that which formed the background of the jobs problem. The output of the non-farm employment also has gone down from the NSS data. Now, this shows that it is not a supply side problem, right? I mean, it is a problem from the demand side because there's not enough output being produced because there's not enough demand for it. So any supply side measure of trying to change employment through incentivization is unfortunately not going to work, even though you understand the problem. What is required is for the government to provision for employment. In fact, I would say, and it may seem unpopular, that we needed, this was the time that we needed an urban employment guarantee by the government, which would have, at least in the interim, provided employment to the people and would have led to, multiplier, which would have changed the situation.
Okay, so Rohit believes that there is clearly more that could have been